Hey y'all, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about the scanner class. Now, this is a special topic for our class because it's not exactly in the AP CSA subset that we have to know for the College Board exam. However, this scanner class really helps us test our code by getting user input and allows us to put in user input and test our code with various different inputs. So this is a great time to introduce the topic. Also, no need to worry, because I will give you lots of template code, lots of help, including this video, that will help you understand and master using the scanner class. Let's get to it. In this video, we'll be talking about the scanner class, and I'll make a whole nother separate video talking about all the tricky stuff that happens with the scanner class. So if you ever feel stuck or can't quite figure out what's going on, take a look at the tricky stuff video and maybe you'll find an error that will help you out with your own programming. So to talk about the scanner class, we need to talk about importing code. Now, we've all heard the phrase, don't reinvent the wheel, right? Don't reinvent the car, maybe. So why reinvent code if other people have already written this code? And we often want to use code other people have written for our own projects. So one of the ways we can do this is by importing their code. And this is called importing packages or importing classes, but importing packages that contain their code. So one of these classes that comes built in with Java is the scanner class. This scanner class allows us to take in user input from the keyboard or from other sources while our program is running. And that allows us to interact with our program, which is pretty neat. So to import the scanner class into our program, we use the following line of code placed above our class declaration. And that line of code is import java.util.scanner. This imports specifically the scanner class. And notice how the S in scanner is capitalized. It's a class. Now, if we want to import more things, we could do import java.util.star. This imports all of the code, every single class inside a util package. And one of those classes inside a util package is the scanner class. So here's what the code might look like. Import java.util.scanner, and notice how that's outside the curly braces of the main class. So let's go ahead and put this into our code right now. Let's go to here and here. So currently I have class scanner demo and I have my main method. You can write stuff up here. Let's say documentation. This is an introduction to the scanner class. Author is going to be Mr. Wong. Version or date, let's just do version 1.0. So I need to put the import statement above my class. Import java.util.scanner. I'm going to hit compile. Looks like it's working. Now, I always encourage students to hit compile whenever they finish typing a thought, finish typing a sentence, finish typing a line of code, or whenever they come to a break in their programming. Because there's nothing wrong with hitting compile at this early stage of learning how to program. It's not going to take hours to compile. It's going to take a split second. So you're not going to lose any time. And if you, for example, forget a semicolon, you'll easily figure it out by hitting compile and it'll yell at you. Okay? So semicolon, there we go. All right, let's get back to it. So I have my scanner class. I have my class name, I have my main method. Next thing is, now that we have imported the code, how do we use it? Well, someone wrote this code that we're importing, right? And remember, we want to make our code usable by other people who come after us. Always imagine the person that's coming after you using your code is an angry, axe-wielding person. You want to make them happy. And to make them happy, you provide documentation. So what is documentation? Documentation describes things, okay? Basically, you're describing your code so that not only other people can know how to use the code that you've written, but also so that you yourself, if you revisit it a year or two from now, can know what the heck you were doing. So documentation talks about the operations, the methods programmers can use, a description of what pre-existing code does and how to use it, and documentation frequently gives examples of how to use their code. If you look on Twitter API, if you look on Facebook, Spotify, all of these big tech websites, they have documentation of how to use their software, their code, all of that jazz. And if you are a programmer, you'll need to not only learn how to read documentation, but also how to write your own documentation. So to find a scanner class documentation, you can Google search Java documentation scanner class. Version 7 or 8 is fine. 19 is fine. Or you can use that URL to get you to version 7. Doesn't matter. But let's go ahead and just search Java documentation scanner class. And you'll see SE8, SE7. We go here, and here we have some things about the scanner class. Okay, it has some use cases of how to use it. You can read all that. A lot of it won't make sense right now. Okay. We have some constructors. We'll talk about in Unit 2. We'll talk about methods in Unit 2. But here is all of the scanner class written out, how to use it, what it does, and all that jazz. So if I click next, or let's do next int, it pulls me down to a longer explanation right here. Okay, so that's documentation. So right here, I'm going to give you this. If you read the documentation, you'll find somewhere about how to create a scanner object and using system.in to get keyboard input. You don't need to know that for now. You can copy and paste this right now, okay? What I want you to get familiar with is using code other people have written already. Don't reinvent fire. Use this code in your own program. So we're going to capitalize scanner. This is a variable name. We can just name it KB for now. Assign the new keyword scanner parentheses system.in. You can pause this video and type it into your BlueJ. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to do scanner KB assign new scanner object and system.in. And I'm going to hit compile just to make sure I've typed that all right. Looks good. So go ahead and pause this video and type it into your BlueJ. Now, system.in is going to allow us to get keyboard input, and I'm going to show you how to do that very shortly. So this right here, what we typed in, scanner KB is assigned a new scanner system.in. That is going to be following the lines of creating an object, which we kind of briefly touched upon when we were talking about object variables. Class name, scanner, a variable name, assign the new keyword, new allocates memory. You're going to hear that very often in a class constructor call. You don't need to internalize this right now, but I'm just going to keep showing you this so that you'll be very familiar with it when you do need to know it in Unit 2, Unit 5, and so on. Now, also in the documentation is method names as well as what it does. So we have 4 methods that we want to know. Next int, next double, next line, and here is what it does. It returns the next int value. We know what ints are. Returns the next double value. We know what doubles are. Return the next word. What's a word? And return the next phrase. And if you look on the documentation, this is what you would see. I took screenshots of it from the Java documentation. Okay, you can see their definitions are a little bit more scans the next token of the input as an int, while I just try to, speak the everyday plain language thing. All right, so let's go ahead and put out a prompt. So we're going to print out a prompt. We're going to tell the user, hey, enter an integer. That's what this line of code does. And then on our next line of code, we grab that integer. So we use the scanner object KB, and we use the next int method to grab the integer the user puts in. So, for example, this code right here, we create our scanner object, we print out a prompt, enter an integer, and then this code right here, we're creating a variable called num. It's going to hold an int. It's a variable type of int, and we assign it whatever next int grabs. So if I input the number 5, then 5, next int is going to grab that, and it's going to assign that 5 to num. So that the next line of code says from the out.println, your input concatenate with num, and num is the variable. And we replace the variable num with what was inside of it, which is 5. So we would see your input : 5. Let's go ahead and see that in action right now. So I'm gonna get that. So what was it again? Oh yes, let's print out a prompt. Print out prompt. Okay, system out.println, enter an integer, grab user inputs, int num, int, and print out message with user input. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video. Make sure you type this out yourself. It's good to get that muscle memory in. All right, let's go ahead and run the code. So I'm going to right click my class. I'm going to run the main method right here. I'm going to click OK. And we see it's telling us to enter an integer right here. Also, if you look down here, it says type input and press enter to send to program. So let's type the number 5 and then press enter. So I entered the number 5, I pressed enter, and out spits the message, your input 5. And that is from this line of code here. Your input concatenate, because the left side is a string. So if one side of a plus is a string, then plus is a concatenate sign. And we can concatenate with the variable num. And num has a value of 5. Let's try doing it again. So run, enter an integer, let's say 12. There we go, your input 12. Let's try it again. Let's do 3.14. Oh no, I got an error. What is the error? Down here it says java.util.input mismatch exception. Here it says on line 18, and we see line 18, and it even highlighted it for me. There's an error, and it says input mismatch exception. Do y'all know, can y'all figure out why that is? Yeah, 3.14 is not an integer, right? What happens if I put soup inside a styrofoam container? It's not going to work, right? It's going to spill. It's not going to allow that. So we need to put an integer into this next int thing. Okay? Awesome. Let's go ahead and keep going on. So we can also get a decimal value next double. Okay? And I think this should say 5.0 if I'm mistaken, not mistaken. So let's go ahead and see the code. Let's do double, next double, enter a decimal value. So if I go ahead and run, let's do 3.14. My input is 3.14. Awesome. Let's go ahead and see what happens if I put a integer value. Predict what will happen. When you've made a prediction, keep going in the video. All right, you ready? It's 5.0, right? Because we're putting 5 into a double. And when I print out num, well, num is treated like a double. So what is inside of doubles? What do double variable types contain? Decimal values, right? So inside of num is actually 5.0. So I need to correct this slide. This should say 5.0. If you caught that, awesome. You know your stuff from Unit 1. Now, question is, did I do it on purpose or not? All right, let's go ahead and go on to the next one. We know already that double variables can store both integers and decimals, while integer or int variable type can only store integers. Now, this one, string blah, right? It's a string, and I'm going to use the next method. And remember, the next method gets the next word. So I'm going to try putting in hi. So let's go ahead and do that. So enter one word and string. Let's just do, instead of blah, let's make it better. Maybe word is next. And we're gonna go ahead. Your input is word. Compile. No errors. Awesome. And let's go ahead and run it. Enter one word. And I think the word I wanted to enter is hi. That's how we can do strings. Okay. Now, what if I did, my name is Olaf and I like warm hugs. What do you think this would grab? It only grabbed my. Why is that? Remember, the next method only grabs one word. In fact, it looks through all the string and it grabs the first word. If you think about it, in the English language, what determines the start and stop of a word? The space, right? Spaces determine the start and stop of a word. So it's gonna go through the string until it finds a space. It's gonna stop there, and everything before that is the first word. So let me intentionally mistype, and you're gonna see what I mean. My name is Olaf, and I like warm hugs. You're gonna see my name. Okay. Again, the next command goes until the first space or enter, essentially the first white space, and it treats that as what it grabs. Okay, so in this example, I type hi there friend and it only grabs hi because the next only grabs up to the first space or white space in the counters. Okay, and in fact, this next right here, it says it finds and returns the next complete token from the scanner. You can change what stops the next command, but for the purposes of this class, in APCSA, that's all you really need to know. In more advanced classes like independent study, you may need to be able to change that. So I went ahead and updated the definitions. Next int returns the next int value up to the next white space. Next double returns the next double value up to the next white space. Next returns the next word up to the next white space. And next line returns the next phrase up to the next \n. Remember, that's enter, right? So let's go ahead and do next line. Next line is how I grab multiple strings or multiple words. So I can input all of hi there friend and it would grab all of that. Let's go ahead and do that demo. So I'm going to do next line, enter a sentence. Sent. I'll just do that. Okay. Everyone can program. Okay. Oh, I misspelled everyone. And remember, to send it in, I have to press enter. Okay. And it grabs all of it. Okay. So that's what next line does. It grabs everything up to the enter, the \n. All right. In the next video, we're going to be going over some tricky stuff that might occur with scanner class. Maybe dealing with next lines, maybe some unpicked up \ns enters. I'll see you in the next video. Okay. Until then, have fun with the scanner stuff. It's pretty cool and fun when you first are able to grab user input. Take care.